Hey everyone, IvyLeeGaming here, and today we're playing Honkai Star Rail. For today's video, we're going to take a deeper look at the Simulated Universe, give a little bit of tips, and talk about the importance of doing it weekly. Alright, so you can go back to the Simulated Universe at pretty much any point. There's a few story points where you're kind of stuck in not being able to use the map, but that's not very often. We're just gonna head on over to our map. We're gonna go to the Herta space station. And yeah, we're gonna go to, well, Herta. Office. Teleport. Boom. Alright, so here we are. This is what we're talking about because it is very important for your weekly progression. Sometimes with the missions you're gonna have to do under the name, well, let me actually show. Sometimes under the daily training is what it's called. There will be something to do the Simulated Universe, but normally you don't need to do it on a certain day. It will just give you more points than everything else and make it easier to do your dailies. But you should be doing your Simulated Universe weekly because these weekly points, I mean, it caps out pretty easily. It doesn't take much to do it. You have to do it a few times, but really good rewards. Obviously, we all want summons. Who doesn't want some Stellar Jade? And this is really important for leveling up the traces for your characters. There's also some upgrade materials here as well. So let's actually go ahead. So we're here. Now, they have changed this a bit since beta. So if you're watching some older beta ones and you're like, wait, that looks completely different, it does. But here is blessings. Blessings are just buffs that you get along the way. And then as you go through, you can learn about the different aeons. There's, if you're really into the lore, there's a lot of really interesting content regarding them. And you could actually go back through and read it later as well. So if you actually don't, let me actually come out of here. If you want to take a moment and actually learn about this stuff, that's what we are at here. We could actually see the index here, or you can access it on the board. But it's really cool if you want to take a deeper dive into learning about the gods, I guess, sort of this universe. And yeah, dive deeper into the lore. So there's different worlds. Obviously you have to complete one world to unlock others, and it takes different parts of the story. Now I did complete world 1 on my first try, but world 2 is locked behind not so good with farewells, one of the missions during our Trailblaze missions, and that's the same thing is going to be true for the others. So keep that in mind as well. We're going to go on over to Herta's store. The store is great. So I personally like the idea of focusing the 5-star light cones because then you're getting what you want. You know, instead of the RNG of hoping you summon a good light cone, you're getting what you want. So the first one we have is the Fall of Aeon for the Path of Destruction. So this one, whenever the wearer attacks, their attack is increased by 8%. In this battle, up to 4 times. When the wearer inflicts weakness break on enemies, the wearer's damage increases by 12% for 2 turns. Whenever the wearer attacks, their attack is increased. So this is like ramps up throughout battles. That's good for bosses. Weakness breaking should be good on someone who's gonna, is gonna go to the battle. Maybe someone with an AoE, or like it'd be pretty good for your Trailblazer when they're in the physical form. Cruising in the Stellar Sea we have for the Hunt. This one increases the wearer's crit rate by 8% and increases their crit rate against enemies with HP less or equal to 50% by an extra 8%. When the wearer defeats an enemy, their attack is increased by 20% for 2 turns. Now, this is pretty strong for like, Dan Heng, any of the Hunt really. It's pretty basic, extra crit rate, extra damage. And we have Texture of Memories for the Path of Preservation. So this could be your March 7th if we're talking early on, or your Trailblazer once you're able to change their path. So increases the wearer's effect resistance by 8. If the wearer is attacked and has no shield, they gain a shield equal to 16% of their max HP for 2 turns. This effect can only be triggered once every 3 turns. If the wearer has a shield, when attacked, the damage they receive is decreased. So it's damage reduction or a bonus shield. Really good. Great for the Trailblazer. Great for March 7th. And really great for using while you're actually in the simulated universe. And there is a super composer here that you can use too. It's kind of like for dupes of the light cone, so you don't have to get an actual dupe. You can just simply pretend you have one with this. You're gonna build up your score as you complete the simulated universe. Even if you lose, you still, like the final boss battle or whatever along the way, you still get points which contribute to your score. So that was something I was really happy to see when I first played. I like that even if you fail, they reward your time and effort. But you absolutely want to max this out. And it does talk about the rewards here. So obviously the higher you get, the more points you're going to get for doing it. So let's go ahead on in. Like, I can't do that. I mean, I could wait to do this one, but I'm not going to right now. I want to make sure that I only have 3 days left, so I at least want to do one more before that. So this is day 2 for me of playing, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and pick here. So the best thing to do is honestly just pick your 4 best champions that you think are characters that are gonna have a good variety. You want to have a little bit of everything for the elements, ideally, and shields are very good for the simulated universe. So if you get a Japard, he's gonna be your simulated universe king. There's some really good blessings that go along with shielding and benefiting from that, so keep that in mind when you're choosing your characters. But I'm gonna go ahead, pick my Trailblazer, pick my Himiko. We're gonna use March 7th for the shields. Healers are also very helpful, but the first bit of stages, you probably won't need healing. It's gonna feel very easy, hopefully. And along with that in mind, the downloaded characters you start with, you don't only get these. As you progress, you'll actually run into some spots where you can choose to choose another one of your characters that you have in your roster to fight along with you. So we're gonna go ahead and just start with a pretty balanced roster here. It covers all our bases. We've got fire, we've got physical, we've got ice, and we've got lightning, which actually, to be fair, lightning is not even part of this, so I should probably put Dan Heng in there. But my Dan Heng is only level 20, not 30 right now. I should probably change that, but I was debating about building Sampo, so you know how it goes. But yeah, you're gonna want to pick 4 people to start with and then add in later. I think, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and actually choose him anyway because this is pretty easy early on. So let's go ahead and launch the simulated universe. I'm gonna pause this at different points throughout and talk about it. So one thing that I actually noticed that I don't know if it's gonna be true yet, which I will try to note in this video if it happens, is right here, cosmic fragments. So there was something really fun in beta where at a certain point, instead of being offered a improvement to your blessings or an extra blessing, you could be offered to have like your attack boosted based on the amount of cosmic fragments you saved. So if you don't actually use most of them, you actually could benefit pretty damn big later on. So personally, I like to start with the extra fragments with that in mind. Try not to use them until I need to. And if it gets to the very end and I didn't have that special thing pop up, well, then I'll just use them to make my people the best they can be before fighting the final boss. But we're gonna go ahead and always make sure you're paying attention to what's around. There can be random bonuses that give you cosmic fragments. And just like the rest of the battles, you're always gonna wanna go in with a strong element. Simple enough, basic battles, nothing too crazy here. But I'm gonna pause and we're gonna come at the end. Well, that was a one shot, so it was a very quick pause. So you kind of want to stack up one element is actually quite good. That way you can have special bonuses based on the number of that certain type of, no, sorry, element is not the right word. The type of blessing. And it's debatable which one you're going to choose, but it's going to depend on your team. So personally, I really like Elation. Elation is all about the follow-up attacks. So if you're having a Clara on your team, she might be really special for that. And if you're going that kind of defensive-based offense, a defensive offense, it's true though, that's going to be really helpful. And if you're going to be going with shielding, you'll see preservation as something you're going to want to be grabbing. But let's start out with that, honestly. I think we're gonna have some opportunity to get some more options here. So we're gonna go ahead, grab stuff, and continue on with our battles. And one quick thing to note here, if you'd like to see the details, they do have this brief description or detailed description here. So you can actually really see the percentages that everything is being affected by. There we go, make myself smaller. But yeah, if you want to see the exact details to see if it really feels like it's worth it, uncheck that box. And just because the initial thing doesn't say there's going to be a certain element there, like they didn't show lightning for the suggestions, but there are going to be units for all of the elements as you go through, not just what's shown for the boss suggestions. Another thing to note is if you're fighting very easy battles, I wouldn't keep it on full auto unless you know you can auto the whole damn thing. Because look at, I'm letting all of my, which you can't see the one behind me, but I'm letting all of these ultimates build up because you can actually just use your basic skill and cycle through using your basic and save your ultimates so they're ready to go when you go into a harder battle. That can really help when you're going against a boss stage. If you have all your ultimates ready to go into the battle, it'll just make it much quicker. But yeah, I actually went with Elation and talking about follow-up attacks, so I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for stuff related to that. It's also really nice, there's one that says like when the characters use their ultimates, they are going to count as a follow-up attack. You also want to grab these ones that are part of the index here. I think you do get some bonuses for using stuff that is not been used yet to unlock them from the index. And here we're going into the Dominant Elite. This is a harder boss stage. And you definitely want to make sure you have the right elements here. Keep in mind that if you do get to the point where you have the downloader and you've selected someone else to add to your team, you can always change your team cycle while you're in the middle of battle. Just be really careful. You could also sit up and buff up your team if you need to. There's lots of options. It's quite fun. I think I'm going to go ahead, bring in Dan Heng, let him buff himself, and let him go ahead and attack this enemy. Go! But this should be pretty easy for my team now. The suggested difficulty was quite low, or the suggested level. So I'm gonna go ahead, pause, and come back again. Regarding some of these special blessings, they actually are very good about helping you understand what they do. Like, okay, Quake is underlined for a reason. You can click it and have it pop up, and it does explain the effects. So there's going to be a lot of things that are new to the terminology that you'll see during the Simulated Universe, and luckily they're pretty good about helping us understand them. One of my favorite blessings is also this one for preservation. At the start of the battle, characters gain a special shield. So anything where they can gain a shield, honestly, at the beginning of the battle, then you know you could actually take advantage of some of these other special blessings from preservation that are only affected when a character has a shield. So if you can go ahead and grab that one, especially early on, that's going to help making your choices for which blessings to choose a lot better. Now we're going to come up to a bunch of these respites, which are the rest points. You can just smash all the things, make sure you're healed, restock up, and this is where I mentioned you can download another character. This is where I just try to make sure I have a well-balanced team. Like if I want Serval in here for lightning in case there's a boss that actually has that, that's where I'm gonna grab that. You know, when we talk to Herda, honestly, you can learn a lot about some of the stuff here, but that's gonna be in other areas. Personally, you can choose not to enhance stuff if you feel like you're doing okay, and you can hold on to your fragments for more advanced options when you can choose which one you're going to improve later on before the big bosses. Or like I said, sometimes there was a thing that allowed us to get a bonus based on how many fragments we held on to. So because I'm having no trouble at all and this is super easy, we're just going to leave this place. I'm not even going to take an improvement to my blessings because I feel like I'm doing a very good job and my characters are strong for this world. And just like I mentioned, you can see your enemies ahead. So like I want lightning. Okay, I have a Serval. I don't need a Dan Heng right now. let's swap them out and be ready for the next battle. Try to be careful and set yourself up just like you would in a normal battle where you're attacking with a logical element. And try not to spread yourself thin with what you're choosing for the types of blessings. Like I mentioned, a lot of things are going to stack up and kind of go together. Elation is all about follow attacks, preservation is all about shields, remembrance is all about freezing. So I'm going to keep sticking with my elation. If you can't remember what you have, you could actually go through and sort here at the top. This is helpful if it says like gives a bonus based on the number of blessings you have of the hunt, of elation, of whatever it may be. So keep that in mind as well, that it's something easily to access, and it is usually smartest to kind of try to strengthen one or two of those areas. If you're not sure how far you are, like deep into the battle, you can always click here. And not only this area that allows you to see what blessings, you can also see what stage you're on. But here we go, downloader. We know what bosses are coming up next. I like that you can see this so it reminds you, and you can make sure you have coverage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in my healer. I have a Natasha, let's use her. And again, the next level is the boss. So when we visit Herta here, this is the big store. We can open the enhanced screen. Because we know the battle is the last one, you've got nothing left to lose. You might as well spend everything. So we might as well improve our blessings the best we can. We've got plenty of options to do so. I definitely like to improve my crit rate when I can. I kind of try to pick stuff that I think is going to have the most impact. So you can go ahead, waste all this. There's no reason to hold on to extra cosmic fragments because they're going to be reset for every battle.
You still don't understand.
Going into the final boss battle, having some of those ultimates ready from before. Again, this is what I really like to do. Try to save stuff up. I mean, I used them a little bit, but still nice to have things ready to go when you get to that boss. Let's vision break. If it is a boss stage, I do suggest taking it off auto just to be safe, unless you're super comfortable with the level and your team and knowing you're gonna win. You don't want to have it lose the last round and lose out on your rewards, because you kind of can't start over. Well, you can, but you don't want to lose out on the final battle rewards if you just mess up a little bit by having it on auto. And I do notice the AI is pretty terrible on full auto, so I wouldn't suggest it personally. Make sure you're hitting the right people with those single target skills. Alright, this should be a pretty easy finish. Yeah, I think we're good though here. I really do. No concerns, but I'm still gonna hit the right affinities or elements just to be safe. Here we go, rocking out, finishing up nice and strong. I think it's safe for me to hit auto for here though. I do have the Trailblazer hiding behind me, by the way, if you guys are curious about that. I'm almost always using the Trailblazer, whether she's in her physical form for the AoE damage or the Path of Preservation version later on. Still great. Alright, exit the simulated universe. Man. Let's go. Let's exit the simulated universe. And we shall get our rewards, our points. We got 800 points for doing the basic one. And we're out. So simple as that. If you want to see what your point total is, you can just go back into it, check your current score, and you're good to go. Claim your rewards and continue onward. So I'm definitely going to want to do this again. Personally, I think I'm going to wait because I want to see if I can open up World 2 just by pushing through my story, my Trailblaze missions, instead of trying to just keep doing the same low-level one over and over again for worse rewards. Yeah, obviously, it's kind of smart to wait till the later end of the week if you're still progressing a lot, because then you can try to just get the best rewards possible along the way. But don't wait. I wouldn't wait for all of it for the last minute, because then you're stuck doing it a whole bunch of times, which can be a little bit time consuming once she gets to higher levels and there's more stages. So that's just, don't forget to do it. Always make sure you complete it. The rewards are really good. But World 2 unlocked, simulated universe. I think that's the point. They want you to do this Because then you also open up the talent tree. It's way too hard. And that's where they're like, it's okay, we've got you. There's an ability tree. So luckily, if you fail with something extra hard, which, yeah, I really think that the whole point of World 2 is to fail your first time doing it. So it can teach you, don't worry, we got you. We make it easier next time. So you can go in here. Upgrade. It's gonna give you bonuses. The more you do, the more points you get. So even if you fail, you're still gonna get points to give you buffs to your stats, to give you extra bonuses as you go along. Either way, it's gonna be easier the next time you do it, which is great, obviously. We got some bonuses for collecting blessings we haven't used yet. That's always good. We unlocked, all right, we unlocked another boss to talk about. And you're still getting points toward your final score. So either way, I'm gonna have to go in and do it again, even though we lost our World 2 battle. But that's part of it, right? I think that's really part of it. Hope this was helpful. Hope you guys noticed a few things maybe you didn't quite catch before. Hope you like these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.